And that's something that's very important for everyone to understand, is that cancers become cancers by taking tools that all of our regular cells have, and then what have they done to make that tool all of a sudden just make this cell, go unregulated and grow, right? So if you have a bunch of tools to build a house and you're building houses your whole life, a cancer will take and manipulate those tools to say, well, if there's a code, if there's an HOA in this neighborhood, I'm just going to grow this huge, house and continue to grow all over everybody and take over the entire neighborhood. And that's what cancer is. And when you're unpacking it, what you're looking for is, what did they do? Did they all of a sudden get a whole bunch more hammers? Did they all of a sudden just lumber shipments? What is it that I can attack, that I can stop, so that suddenly it does not have the ability to grow, and in an ideal world, actually get smaller and be completely restricted and unable to proliferate?
Yeah, well, let me just add a little bit to your starting point here, because what I would say, using your kind of architecture analogy, is think of it this way: that every cell in the body has the same blueprint, has the entire blueprint for every other cell in the body. Okay, but there's no cell in the body that's meant to have all functions, right? I mean, even what we refer to as stem cells, their job is just to spawn, kind of the next, lineage, if you will, of cells, but they themselves will actually, circle back, if you will, remain stem cells. But anyway, let me put it this way. A melanocyte, a pigment-producing cell in the skin, which is what gives rise to melanoma, and a cell that lines the lung epithelia that's involved in gas exchange, or a cell, a cardiac myocyte, a cardiac muscle cell. Every one of those cells has the entire blueprint in them, the same genetic code, right? But they're not supposed to be reading that blueprint. They're supposed to be reading one small part of it, right? So imagine that you have the architecture firm has the blueprint for the entire body and its entire cellular composition. But when they're hiring contractors to build individual houses, right, in the neighborhood / the city, they hand them the portion that they need, right? Basically, right? They read that part. And that's the part that I think really wasn't in view in the beginning of my career. This notion that really what's happening is through the accumulation of genetic alterations as the kind of fundamental component of how cancer becomes, capable of accessing, I think what you referred to, and I like this analogy too, the toolbox. Right. I mean, about accessing what I was just referring to as the blueprint, like figuring out basically a melanocyte, just to get, stick with that example. It migrates from the same cell population that form the neural tissues, I mean, brain cells and other components of the neural system. So the same sort of cells of origin. They migrate away from where the brain and the nervous system are established, and they populate then this layer of the skin, the bottom of the epidermis, or the base of the epidermis, as we call it, and they stay there, right, lifelong. And they're very long-lived cells. They're very hardy, long-lived cells. They're not supposed to travel, right? So talk about like a component of the blueprint. They're not supposed to have access to that part of the blueprint. And you might say, well, what cells in the body travel? I mean, beyond development, when a lot of cells are traveling, you readily think of, well, immune cells. I mean, immune cells travel all around the body, right? They go in and out of tissues. There's like almost no place they can't go. And so melanoma cells, and for that matter, lung cancer cells and colon cancer cells, for cancers to travel, nearly all of them have to start reading a component of the blueprint that was not, supposed to be open to them, basically. So
you've made it through this video, and I am super stoked. Hopefully you feel a lot more knowledgeable and even somewhat comfortable about the crazy world of cancer. If you did, like, comment, but especially just share, if nothing else, to get this information out so that hopefully people are less intimidated by something that's as scary as cancer would be a big win. And we look forward to seeing you here next time.